Hello, welcome to the allotment. It's mid-July and I think it's about time we had a little look around to see what's going on at this time of year. This first border that you see as you come straight into the allotment is the bean border. It's starting to look pretty good. I've got the lovely runner beans with their gorgeous red foliage. There should be some with white, not foliage, flowers, sorry. There should be some white ones coming up somewhere. It's a different type of runner bean. I've also got a couple of different types of French beans. I've got an abundance French bean, lazy housewife French bean. I've got pongo beans. The pongo beans seem to be struggling for some reason. So generally speaking now, I'm pretty happy with how the beans are looking. They had a very slow start. We've been having problems with rabbits at the allotment this time round. So I have put mesh, plastic and wire mesh right the way around the edge so the rabbits can't get in there, but initially they were nibbling down all the growing shoots. Every time the plant got so high they would nibble down the growing shoots. So yeah, that's fenced off and that's dealt with now. The rabbits can't get in here and they seem to be doing all right, but it will be a while before we'll get any beans because the French beans haven't even started flowering yet. At the top of the bean border, this great mass here are my peas, which as you can see they're past their best now. We've had a really good crop. I'm pretty happy. These ones where all the foliage is dying back were a mange too. They were a golden yellow podded variety that I got from Real Seeds. They were really nice. I'm leaving quite a few of them on to set seed so I could save some from last year. What a beautiful plant. It had purple flowers and once the flowers started to die off, a lovely golden yellow little pod came out. So even just for the aesthetic value, they were very nice to taste as well. As well as that, I think I had onwards peas and douche Provence peas, and then at the far end we had Kent blue, again from Bill and Val, another beautiful pea. I would grow them in my garden just as a decorative thing. Gorgeous deep purple flowers. So I'm saving quite a few of those as well for seed. But yeah, we've had a good pea harvest. There's still a few stragglers to pick. It's a bit of an obstacle course getting in here. We've got these strings holding up all the peas. We've had some high winds, so we were frightened they were going to blow over, so we tied them to the fence. This border here, well, it hasn't been so great. I've had strawberries in, which either the rabbits or the birds or whoever have gotten, all of them, the few that I got. This is the red currant. This has been fantastic. We've had a huge crop of red currants, which is just finished, and Kenny's actually decided just to prune the bush right down to the ground. The same with the black currants on the other side of the allotment. We've had a good crop. We've pruned them right down. They were getting very big and unwieldy and straggly and leggy. And what we did with the black currants was, I happened to see it on another video somewhere else. Someone had cut off the tips of the growing stems and stuck them in the ground, and apparently they'll root and give you a whole load of more currant bushes. So I've done that in another border. I've just put them in to see if they'll grow. If they do root and grow, I'll dig them up when they get a little bit bigger and transplant them elsewhere, so it'll be free plants, which will be good. As well in this border, this is where I have planted the melons of Bill and Val. They are Minnesota midgets. We wanted to see how far north we could grow melons. Well, it's not looking good up here in the northeast of England. It might be me, it might be the growing spot I've chosen for them, I don't know, but they are not doing very well. I've got them protected with little plastic bottles around them so the beasties don't get them, but they're still getting eaten. But more than that, they just aren't growing at all. They've just sat there for quite some time now and not grown at all. So I really don't have any hope for them to do good. And further back, I've got I had a few spare aubergine plants after planting them in the greenhouse, so I just thought I'd give it a try and stick them in the ground here. This is a nice south facing fence and a warm border, so I thought if they were going to work, they would work here. However, I think I've got two still alive, and again they aren't growing. So yeah, you've just got to take the wins and the losses and the losses at the same time, haven't you? This is the border that the broad beans were in. They are all out and harvested now. We've got a goodly sum of broad beans. The freezer's full of them. And in that place I've put in some leeks. Unfortunately the leeks were in a seed tray just sitting on the ground in the allotment for a while, and the rabbits, strangely, I wouldn't have thought they would have liked allium style things, but they loved the leeks and they mowed them down like grass. But they seem to be doing all right now, actually. They're growing. But yeah, this is the leek border. This will just sit here all winter now, and I'll harvest them as I want them. Also, this is the border where I put those blackcurrant little softwood cuttings, but they don't look very good. Anyway, we'll see how they go. And oh, there's a bit of bindweed. Now, I'm aware this just looks like a marigold border, a calendula border, should I say. But in fact, there is some food grown in here. This was the onion and the garlic bed, which have all been harvested now. And in their place, I have got tomatoes in the first half, which, yeah, they're overcrowded by this calendula. I've pulled a couple of these plants out, and I should pull more out, but as usual, I haven't got the heart to. So yeah, tomatoes, a few different varieties. I can't remember what now. And then beyond that, I've just been putting in beetroot. I've been harvesting quite a lot of beetroot. It's always small though. I can never get my beetroot to grow very well. I'm not really sure why. Anyway, I've got a lot more beetroot to go in there. I've got some seedlings coming on in trays. Yeah, and that'll be the second or third border I've managed to use twice over. I've really wanted to try and get 2 crops into one border over the space of the season, and at the minute this year I'm doing quite well for it. I'm pretty pleased that I've managed to use the space like this. When you're working with a small allotment or a small garden, you've just got to try and stretch the space you've got as far as you can to grow as much as you can. These should probably be tied up. This is the second little strawberry patch. Hopeless, absolutely hopeless. I'm so disappointed. I bought these strawberry plants. I bought a pack of 3 different varieties: marshmallow, Cambridge something or other, and another one. I've forgotten which variety these are, but they've really not done very well at all. Barely had a single strawberry on, and any strawberry I do get, somebody gets it. I've got this mesh over, but it's not doing much good. Anyway, I'm hoping that they'll put off some runners. I'll be able to propagate some more strawberries, and my aim is to have 2 troughs of some sort attached to this fence with strawberries growing out of them and further along in the other strawberry bed, so that eventually I might be able to get a crop of strawberries. I've done it before, not had much success the last couple of years. In between here, and that's just a piece of grass, I have pushed some of the spare leeks that I had, just let them take their chances. This little area at the back of the allotment here, I've got squash planted in buckets, tomatoes in buckets, and then at the big trough at the end there's a couple of courgette plants, and right in the middle there is a little melon. That melon is doing better than the ones that I planted further back in the garden. It is growing, and although it's between those 2 massive courgettes, I've got my fingers crossed for it. I've also got another melon. I've got 2 melons in the greenhouse at home. They're doing better. They're growing up now. They're about, I don't know, 3 foot tall or something. I think this border probably just looks like a bit of a mess to you, but it's doing all right. Actually, I've got half a dozen courgette plants in here. They're doing fantastic. They're an early cropping variety. I'll show you. I've got one just here. Ooh. That's them there. Pale colour, crunchy and sweet. They're good. I mean, the best courgettes I've grown. Yeah, as I say, they're cropping like mad. I'm getting, well, half a dozen every couple of days. What do you do with them? My freezer's full already. Yeah, that's it. They're good, doing well. Also, in the middle of here, these are the wild poppies that just self-seeded, which we are allowing to ripen, the seed to ripen, and then we'll harvest the seed. We've done this before. It's perfectly edible. Just like poppy seeds you would buy from the supermarket, and we use them in bread making. This is my complete catastrophe of a Brassica cage. Completely hopeless, rickety, the net's coming away. I came up yesterday, there were more cabbage white butterflies inside the net than there were outside. I had to release about 10 of them. Yeah, I'm ashamed of it, it's rubbish. But the Brassicas are actually doing all right nonetheless. I'm going to come up in a day or so and take all this netting off and have a good look at all the leaves on these Brassicas to see if I can find any eggs from the cabbage whites. I'm sure there will be because there was so many in there. But yeah, it's doing all right. I've got some sprouts in there, they're looking really healthy. I've got broccoli, I've got calabrese, should I say. The calabrese is all doing really well. It's the first time I've grown that. I usually just grow broccoli, but yeah, the calabrese is looking nice and healthy, and we've had a couple of little trees of it already. That's on this side. On this side, these are more recently planted, and if my memory serves me, I think they are purple sprouting broccoli, which we'll be waiting for until much later in the year. Well, I do tend to have a very wild style of gardening. I just let things do their own thing for the most part, and all the flowers come up, and you know, I don't worry too much about weeding. However, it is at this time of year when I start to feel a bit overwhelmed by it all. And I mean, this border, it's very pretty actually it's beautiful, but yeah, you start to feel a bit overwhelmed by all the stuff that's grown and wondering how you're going to get it under control, which the answer to that's probably I'm not going to get under control. Anyway, this is my squash border. I've got some uchikikuri squash in here. I've got some munchkin squash. I think it's munchkin squash. The little teeny white ones, because I just got the seed from a squash at the supermarket. They're doing well, coming on nicely. At the back here, my fennel, it had all gone to seed. I've cut it all back. It's coming back for another try, and it's looking good. This is the potato patch. I've had my second earlies down here. I'm doing things a bit differently this year. I usually would harvest everything all at once and then store it in the garage or wherever at home. But this year I'm just taking up the potatoes as we need them. So there's still a couple more of the second earlies left in. They've been nice. They were a variety called Jazzy. I was worried about them initially because quite a few of the plants seem to get this wilt on them and just die back. I don't know what that was. But the potatoes themselves have been just nice little new potatoes. This side here are the main crop, but I don't exactly know what's going on because they seem to be dying back already, which seems to me to be far too early. I mean, I would have planted them early. I probably planted them maybe a month earlier than possibly I should have, so maybe they're just done. Anyway, I'm just going to let them go for as long as I can. I've got King Edwards, and I've got, I think it's Maris Piper. I'm just going to let them go until the foliage dies back, and then we'll dig them up and see what we'll get from there. And in this patch where I've had the second earlies, I have got some more Brassicas coming on in the back garden in seed trays, and I'll get them in to try and again make the best use of the space. This little strip is at the far end of the potatoes. I had my Asturian tree cabbage in here until the last week or so. We've taken all that out because it all ran to seed, and in its place I've put some last minute little French beans in there. Not sure how they are going to work. They were actually beans I had in the kitchen cupboard from the supermarket, some black beans and some white beans. I don't know what variety, but they're in and they're growing, so fingers crossed for those. We might get a few late beans. And then further up I have planted my next a lot of Asturian tree cabbage, which will hopefully stay in there for a couple of years. And there's also a couple of chard in there as well, which are really going to be for greens for the hens through the winter. So all in all, everything is going well at the allotment. I feel like we're in a little lull now. We're still getting the courgettes, but now next thing is I'm waiting for the French beans to come in. That'll be the next big rush to pick. And then it'll be a longer wait for the tomatoes and the squash, you know, the things that ripen later on in the year. In the back garden, got loads going on, got all my lettuces and salad leaves. I've got tomatoes, I've got aubergines, melons, cucumbers in the greenhouse. They're all doing all right. No big problems, no big issues, no diseases so far, not that I can see at any rate. Hope your garden's growing fantastically, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.